Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release, playing all the good games and the bad games and everywhere in between. It's October 1982 and we were last checking out Choplifter, the amazing Choplifter ported to the Atari home computer. Let's see what is next. It's time to play something on our Apple II. This is A City Dies Whenever Night Falls. The most bizarre title I've ever seen. This one we only have a few screenshots for, so let's just pop it and play A City Dies Whenever Night Falls. This is by Bev R. Haight, and our very first game by Omega Software. And I think the only game that they've ever done. Let's see what it's all about. So another title that if you went back in time, there might be other games that this company published, but they might have been lost. A City Dies Whenever Night Falls. Omega Microware Incorporated. This is the only game that I know of that made this one. Already the presentation is pretty typical for the Apple II. I'm already getting excited. What's going to happen? It builds a city for us. We have the usual fade-in on the Apple II. And it is doing our rebuilding units because this game has two different phases. It has the first phase where you are defending the city. I am playing as the one turret that moves around very, very jerkily. But I'm supposed to be destroying all of the enemies using that one single turret that's just flashing all over the place. I gotta make sure that the aliens don't blow up any of the buildings, and they also don't get to the reactor, which is that orange circle at the bottom. But you can see the gameplay is all over the place. Oh, look at all the stats and information that are happening down the bottom of the screen. Plus, it doesn't feel like I'm controlling very much because it's just whipping around really, really fast. Yeah, it doesn't feel like I have complete control, like if we were playing a Missile Command style variant. I also don't know whenever we get to the second phase, because it looks like the aliens just keep on coming. There's so much happening on the screen right now, I can barely describe it. So I am playing as the white turret that's firing to the top. But there's so much activity. Look at all the aliens. Gosh. And I hope that doesn't mean the reactor blew up. Oh, they got to something, and we're destroyed in fantastic fashion. The city is dead. Looks like they did destroy us. If you do end up fending off the aliens long enough, there's a second phase to this game where you get to rebuild the city. So it has both a shooting part of it, but it also has a whole nother section where you're rebuilding the city, so almost building construction, which is very, very rare for a video game. But as usual, when we see a game that's very ambitious, trying something new, the way that it's played and the presentation is pretty terrible, and this one feels the same. We can't even get to the second phase. But you can see how the first one, it didn't feel like I had much control over the turret, and the gameplay was just lacking. I mean, look at this. This is me trying to blow up the other aliens, and it just feels like I'm flickering left and right, and I don't have a lot of control over the turret. This is paddle controlled only. So even though it is paddle controlled only, it reminds me of some of the Big 20 paddle control games we played, that they're controlled with a paddle, but they don't feel very smooth. And I'm looking at the releases that weren't as popular on the Vic 20, but gosh, this is really rough. It looks like death is inevitable. The city will die, and there's nothing I can do about it. Look at that. They're destroying entire buildings. That's true. Yeah, that's my guess too, Curtis. It has to be. Yeah, and they definitely they got the noise down for the Apple II. They have perfected it. Way to go, Omega Microware. Oh, come on. Get to the... Nope. I also can't explain all the stats happening at the bottom, like the numbers for the reactor. From my understanding, because there's not a lot of paperwork that it talks about the game, is they're describing all the things that are being torn down, so you'll know what to do when it's time to repair them or fix them in the second phase. The city is dead. So apologies for anybody that has photosensitivity, because this game is not the game for you. This was terrible. There's so much flashing going on, and there's so much happening on the screen that I wish that this kind of style of game was done better, where you're also destroying the aliens and defending, but then you also rebuild. Not even able to showcase the rebuilding side of it, but you gotta admit, the impression of trying to do something new is still here. They're able to play it. Manly's like, yeah, it could have been great. Yeah, it could have been. Brian's already down in the 1-star range. I gotta actually say yes, this is broken. Of all the games you could play, I'm gonna go 1 star for A City Dies Whenever Night Falls. It has ambition, just doesn't deliver. Curtis is saying 1.5. I see a 2-star and then a half-star out there. Yikes, it's very scary. Let's see what our next release is. We're now going to the Atari home computer. This is Claim Jumper. We've already seen this one from ads, so let's see what's up with Claim Jumper. Looks like we're going to play as old prospectors fighting for gold. Front of the box is very, very nice looking. I love it. This one is Synapse Software's 7th game we played here on the show. A lot of their games have been very, very good. Let's flip it over on the back. Requires 1 or 2 joysticks, so make sure you have those plugged into your Atari. Your keen eye has not yet spotted the faint glimmer of raw gold. That will spell fame and fortune, but you know it's out there. Suddenly, off to your left, you see what looks like the finest specimen of gold this side of the Pecos Mountains, because it's all about getting that gold. Yeah, the back of the box has a little bit of what to play, but we have a manual, so we'll be able to see that too. Let's see what artwork we have. Yeah, that snake is huge. That's going to take him out, right? It is. There is other animals you have to watch out for. Here's the ad you would have seen in magazines by Synapse. The other big one that we've seen was Seamus, which was really, really good. And then the other ones we haven't seen yet are Reptilian and Fort Apocalypse. Coming up soon. There's the cartridge. If you have the cartridge version of Claim Jumper to put in your Atari home computer, or if you have the 5 1/4 floppy disk, there it is, with an example of the screenshot. Claim Jumper. I think the concept sounds like we played this before, where we're old prospectors searching for gold. Well, here's the manual, and if you look at the top, this is by Gary Chang, and the only other game we've seen by Gary was Dog Days, that was published by APX on the Atari home computer in 1981. So this is the second game we played by him on the show. Make sure you got 16K of memory, shows you how to load on cassette and disc. Claim Jumper is a competitive 2-player action game. The object of the game is collect gold nuggets, trade them for cash, and save cash in your bank for buying houses. Houses, okay. At the same time, you must try to prevent your opponent from doing the same things. A gunfight often determines who gets the money safely to his bank. Points are awarded for buying houses and successfully fighting off pursuing snakes or tumbleweeds. There it is. There is an option for a 1-player game, but this is designed primarily to be a 2-player only game. You control your cowboy with a joystick. The left joystick controls the dark brownish-green cowboy, and the right controls the light pinkish cowboy. The colors depend, it says, on your actual TV set adjustment. The flickering gold nugget appears on the screen. You pick up a gold nugget. All you have to do is run over and touch it, kind of like whenever you're playing Adventure on the Atari VCS. As long as you have the nugget, your opponent can't take away from you. But you may want to drop it if something else comes after you. A nugget is useless until it's traded in for cash, so you take the nugget up to the assay office. It's a place where you have purity of gold analyzed, and then the $10 bill appears next to the office. You pick up the bill, you just touch it, and just like the gold nugget, you have to get it down to the bank located in the lower left corner, and each player has their own bank they're going to carry it to. So there's a lot involved with this game already. There's also snakes, tumbleweeds, and other hazards that you'll have to avoid. Shortly after the game starts, 2 types of creatures start to appear on the screen, the snakes and the tumbleweeds. After 2 seconds are up, you're free to move again if you get attacked by one of them and have a brief period of immunity against paralysis. So if those snakes bite get you, don't worry, just 2 seconds and you'll feel just fine. And you have other objects including the pink and blue house. The light cowboy has to avoid not only the brown snakes, but also this. And then there's also seeds and eggs is perhaps the most effective defense against creatures like snakes and tumbleweeds that are chasing you. So you can use those too. And this breaks down all that. Look at all this text describing the game. And then there's also shooting involved as well. Shooting bullets is a good way to steal or steal back your opponent's nugget or bill. You can quickly create more hazards for your opponent by shooting snakes and tumbleweeds. So this one is another video game that's trying something that's not a simple arcade game. They want to add more elements in to add complexity to it. Let's see if they get it right though. If you're hit by a bullet, your hat flies off and you're transported to one of the 2 hospitals located in the upper left and upper right corners of the screen. You can choose which hospital you go to by pushing your joystick left or right. If you don't choose one, then the computer chooses one at random. If you're carrying a nugget or bill, you'll drop it and leave it behind. So that means you can just shoot and steal the nugget from the other player. And then it talks about hitting snakes and tumbleweeds and then using the trigger button. You can use it for 3 different purposes. So the trigger button is carrying a nugget. You can drop it. If you're standing still, you can drop a seed or egg. And if you're running, you can shoot a bullet. And then it has the point scores right here. The winner is the first person to score 25,000 points. 1 house purchase and 50 conversions is the winner. The game stops automatically when this score is reached. After the game stops, you can choose to play the same game or just do a different one. And then there's different options. It has lots of menus to do a 1-player game or a 2-player game. And this is kind of cool because they're giving you different ways to play. They have a normal game. They have a game where you have to buy bullets or use the money after you find the gold to buy more bullets. And then you also have the head start, which is you get 5 bills, or you already start the game with money. So you can use it as a handicap, or you can have both players do the head start, which means you have a shorter game to play. So there you go. Lots of different options. And you can see the manual is really extensive. Lots and lots of text, too. I mean, look at this. There's even advanced notes to give you some more help if you need it. Too cool. So this one just has an alternate version. Let's pop it and play Claim Jumper. This is by Gray Chang, published by Synapse Software at sometime in the beginning of October 1982. I know, and we haven't even seen Bagman yet. Doesn't come out yet. I love it, Ubicore. That's right. We'll see how many snakes we get. So I'm going to plug in a second joystick. It's meant to be played with 2 people, so I'm not going to play the single-player version. I'm going to play the multiplayer version. And we're just going to have a second player hang around and just wait for us to destroy them. If it loads, will it load? I'll just speed it up then. There we go. I said Gary originally. It's Gray Chang. Apologies, Gray. Wow, listen to the music. Did you do the music too? It's amazing how many jobs the developers have at this time. Look at that. Sounds so good. Some of the best songs we've heard have been here on the Atari home computer. This is fantastic. All right, let's go right into it. I'm going to push start, not using any of the other options. And now we've begun the game. I'm on the left side playing as one of the first cowboys. There's one of the gold nuggets. Let's pick it up, bring it to the assay office, and then it's going to cash in as the bills, grab some money, then head over to the bank. Avoid the snakes, though. Don't let them get you. I know, you got to give props for the music. It is so good compared to all the other games you could be playing right now. So I'm playing only as the 1 player. It looks like player 2 is getting attacked by tumbleweeds and snakes. So the whole point of the game is to get your gold to turn into money and get the cash to go to the bank. Then when you get enough of that, then you start making more homes. And you can see there's 1 home on the left, and the other player has another home. And so the more homes you have make it harder for the other people to move around because they have to dodge those. So as you play, though, you have the ability to shoot your gun. So in a way, this feels like a more advanced version of Gunfight. They're adding more elements to Gunfight besides that. Oh, I think I pushed the option button and it went to the... Yeah, it went to the game mode. So I got to be careful. If you push the option on your home computer, that's what happens. All right, let's do it again. There's my gun. So you can fire, knock his hat off, and then he's going to go to the hospital in the top left, while the other player can take their gold, get it turned into cash. I wouldn't go so far as calling this strategy. It's still an arcade game. It just has more complex elements than the typical arcade game. Because we're not really building the homes. All the money you get turns into building homes automatically. All right, let's go to the assay office, get some more cash, pick up the cash, and then go drop it down. And whoever's playing player 2 has to leave the hospital. So I'll switch now to the second controller and then control the tumbleweeds that look like they're falling around. So everything that you touch gives you this temporary invulnerability. Can I fire off? And then if you do the seed, oh, the seed, there you go. If you stand still and hit the attack button or the red button on your VCS joystick, then you drop the seed. So playing this with 2 people would be a lot of fun. It's essentially like you're playing trying to grab something from the other person and then complete an objective before they can finish theirs. So now I'm playing as the second player while the first player is just getting attacked by snakes right now. Going down to the bank, cash it in. Music is very, very nice, even with mid-game. All I'm hearing for sound effects is the pitter-patter of us moving around the game. In a way, this reminds me of the game Dog Days, which is the other game that Gray Chang did. Dog Days is essentially you're two dogs, and you're running around trying to find the bone and collect that. So it's another like competitive video game, one player versus another, to see what you can collect. But this one is a whole nother level. That's what it looks like when we walk forward, coming up the screen. All right, let's drop more seeds. Get out of there. And with the different game options, this gives you lots of ways to play. You can play a single-player game. It's just not as fun. If you play a multiplayer game, you can choose between having a limited number of ammo, and then you use the money that you collect, collecting the gold, to buy more ammo. But the more that you do, it eventually ends up building more and more homes. And so you can see this home, I can walk by, and it doesn't stun me. But if I go to the other player's home, look, it knocks me out for a few seconds like all the other enemies. So then you end up dodging everything, including the other player's homes, as you build up higher and higher wealth. I know there's got to be lots of strategies to play. Moving diagonally, you'll go faster as everyone else. But man, it's pretty cool how many elements they've added to the game. Looks good. Can I shoot? Oh, I gotta watch out for the house because you get stunned. God, there's so many snakes. Snakes! Kill the snake. When you shoot a snake, it turns into a tumbleweed, which is still not good. It just doesn't follow you around. So much better enjoyed to be played with two people, but I really love this. This was a breath of fresh air, really, really fun. Claim Jumper is one of those games that you can tell they spent a lot of time polishing it. Playing with two people would be an experience that you could switch up the options for, too. Yeah, and I'm looking at the chat. I already see a few 4 stars out there. This is excellent. Of all the games you could play on a home computer, it's much better than all the other games trying to be a normal arcade game. This is doing something different. I mean, yeah, Ubicore saying one of the best computer games you could play right now. Lots of elements, lots of fun. So I'm going to say 4 stars. A great title for a home computer game. Another good one by Synapse Software. Check them out. 4 gold nuggets. That's right, scruffy looking. All right, let's see what our next game is. It's time to see what's new on the Atari VCS. This is Coconuts. This one is another brand new game from a brand new publisher for the Atari VCS. This is Telesys who published this one, and they joined the ranks of all the other publishers we have for the Atari, like Atari and Sears and Activision and Funvision and Apollo and Comavid and American Video Game and Bit Corporation and Mattel and Imagic and CCE and Tiger Vision and Parker Brothers and Coleco and Telegames and Data Age and VentureVision and Starpath and SpectraVision and Fox Video Games and US Games. That's how many publishers we have right now. Yikes. The front of the box, though, is really nice. This one looks good. It looks different than all the other games we've seen by Atari. It's covering the whole screen. Let's flip it over on the back. Yeah, box art's pretty good. They give you a full screenshot of the game. Bombs away. Coco the crazy monkey is on the loose again, hurling coconuts down at our intrepid jungle explorer, Stanley the First, I presume. Your job, help Stanley avoid falling coconuts. Be prepared. The better you do, the crazier Coco gets. Coco the monkey's gonna get us. All you need is one joystick for this one. What else do we have for Coconuts? This is one of those games that I'd never heard of before. Would have definitely seen it from a bargain bin. But you got to admit, the front of the box is done very well. There's an ad you would have seen in magazines. Beat it! It's Telesys. Fun in games. There's our cartridge. Telesys has a different looking cartridge than the other ones we've seen. Every third-party publisher tries to do something new. Along with some fan art and an example of a screenshot. Oh, you saw ads for this one. Nice. All right, so we have the manual. Coconuts shouldn't be able to tell us too much because it's pretty simple. Yeah, all you're doing is avoiding the coconuts that Coco the monkey throws at us. The object of the game is make Coco go nuts and get the highest possible score before Coco knocks you out. You play with one player. If you want to play with two, you just have to alternate back and forth. If the difficulty switch is A or B, it just makes Stanley move faster or slower. To begin play, reset the game, and how the game progresses, you start out well equipped with an umbrella and a pith helmet, because you're Stanley, I presume. If you get hit, you lose the umbrella. If you get hit again, bye-bye helmet. You reach 500 points, earn back pieces of equipment if you keep avoiding those coconuts. And then they have scoring here, which is not much. There's not a whole lot to the game. Yeah, two-player game, you're just going to take turns. So fun and games, Telesis. We'll be the judge of that. It's time to pop it and play Coconuts. This is by Jack Woodman and Jim Rupp, published by Telesis at sometime in the beginning of October 1982. This marks our 136th game we're playing on the Atari VCS. Will it live up to the hype? All right, I'm going to go ahead and hit reset and go. There we are in our pith helmet and umbrella. And there's Coco. What are you going to do, Coco? Oh, there you go. He throws coconuts, which are multicolored coconuts. And you got to admit, look how large the character is. This has got to be the largest character we've ever seen on a home console. Stanley is huge. But you can move left and right. So that'd be the coolest thing, is how large you are. But essentially, we're playing reverse Kaboom. Instead of collecting the coconuts, we're supposed to avoid them. So the longer we avoid them, the more points we get. Come on, let's go. Yeah, this is really impressive character. I'm with you there, Curtis. All you're supposed to do is dodge the coconuts. Don't let them hit you. Yeah, the coconuts tumble down using that like multicolored Activision. Oh, there we go. The umbrella's gone. He got me. Try it again. To tell you the truth, this reminds me of a more boring version of Wallet Walker, which is a style of game where you just move left and right, and you're supposed to dodge the hail that comes from the sky. And we saw those mostly on home computers, but that one had a goal. You moved left to right. Oh, we lost the hat. And you picked up the bag on one side and had to bring it to the other side. But this one is, there's no objective except just dodge everything. And I think we lost. Yeah, there you go. So high score, 495. Gameplay is very, very simple, but graphically, this is really, really cool for a home console. I mean, look at that. Look at the animation on Stanley. I can understand why they put the screenshot of the game on the box and in advertising, because it looks like we're playing something maybe on the ColecoVision or a console from the future. But gameplay is really simple. This is the kind of game that when someone says, I want to play a game on the Atari, you picture this. Something very easy to pick up and play. And it does give you a little help, too. Eventually, Coco just stops and stands still until you push your button. And then, like right now, you can see our score is 85. And Coco's just going to sit there until I push the button, then we can go. We have to zoom in really close to make sure those are coconuts. That's exactly what this feels like. The gameplay feels like we're playing something on the Nintendo Game & Watch, a handheld. All right, so now we're going to the next level. Coco's going to sit there until I push the button and go. That's it. Yeah, the control could easily be something on the Nintendo Game & Watch. That's why it's not necessarily a one-button game because you're moving left and right, but it is very, very simple. The coconuts wouldn't be that bad unless there really are coconuts up there. So gameplay-wise for a home console, it's lacking. 500 points, we're doing pretty good. I'm not going to fall for your tricks, Coco, not this time. It may not be. All right, so we're 620, still in the game. Getting faster and faster. Yeah, I find more enjoyment from Kaboom or one of the Avalanche variants. And then obviously this... Oh, lost the hat. This doesn't play as fast or as well as the other titles. Brian's already saying 2. There you go. Coconuts. Yeah, I'm going to say of all the games you could play on a home console, this is one of those games that's going to be in the bargain bin. We're going to see it later. So from the chat, I see 2, or in other words, bad. This is our bad range. 1.5 stars. Ubicore's a little nicer. We're saying 2.5 stars. Mediocre, yeah. This is I don't want to say subpar for games on the Atari. I'm actually going to go bad. This will be a 2-star game for all the games you could play. It's the best of the bad, but Coconuts, it's the gameplay that matters, and this one doesn't have it. You can play it on your Nintendo Game & Watch if you want to. All right, so let's see what's next after this commercial break.
Our video games, or we'll buy them back.
Ooh, yeah.
Because we have Commando Raid with action above and below.
There it is, Commando Raid.
Word Zapper. It takes fast action and a quick mind.
I haven't seen that one yet. Or Towering Inferno, I haven't seen that one yet.
Yes, you love our games, or we'll buy them back. For
you have to love them, or you'll buy them back.
Look for the name U.S. Games.
U.S. Games. Here it is again. It is U.S. Games. The announcer sounded like the guy who says Monster Truck Rally. You know, this Saturday, one night only. He should be selling video games. So this is Commando Raid on the Atari VCS. This one marks the second game that we've seen by U.S. Games after Space Jockey. So another one by U.S. Games. Front of the box looks like the other ones by U.S. Games. They got the grid going on, but really, really simple front of the box. It says new improved video graphics here. Great point, Manly. How many games did they buy back? Is that why U.S. Games went out of business? Because they bought them back when people said they weren't good? Space Jockey was all right. Let's see what Commando Raid's like. It's a single-player, full-color game simulating arcade action designed to be played on the Atari video computer system. You're in defense of your buildings, which have come under attack by android commando raiders. Without warning, they appear, intent on capturing your buildings and destroying your gun emplacement. And you only need one joystick because it's only for one player. I know, they're going to buy back the games. They're going to run out of business. And there's the ad you would have seen in the catalog for U.S. Games. Shows you how to begin. This is several pages, too, explaining how to play the game. For Commando Raid, there's the cartridge for U.S. Games and Commando Raid. With also, if you were in Europe, in Germany, it was Landung in der Normandie, which is 1983, I believe, when that one came out. With an example of the screenshot. All right, how do we play some Commando Raid? I'm game. You're in defense of your buildings, which have come under attack. First, the troops carrying helicopters drop in flying android paratroopers to test your defenses. Soon the sky is filled with fluttering helicopters and wave after wave of android paratroopers. They must be destroyed. Each paratrooper allowed to land on a building destroys a portion of that building. If 3 paratroopers land on a building, it will be totally destroyed and must be considered under commando control. Worse still, the androids now tunnel towards your gun emplacement. Each paratrooper who lands on the building expands the tunnel. If they're not stopped, they will plant an explosive charge under the gun. That's awesome. And we've seen this before. I'll let the chat point it out until we get there. So there's the helicopter, the score, the bomber, the bomb, the building, the gun emplacement, and the commando paratrooper. We just need our joystick plugged in. Hit the reset button. Are there any game switches? Difficulty switch? And the TV type? Okay, so they do have some. Then they have the scoring. 100,000 points, you'll get a new building, and there's 8 levels of play. Each level is defined by a different colored paratrooper squad. So you have 8 levels to choose from, but there it is, oh, nice. So you can use the color switch or the black and white switch to do manual or automatic fire. That's nice. And then you have the difficulty switch to do straight bullets, steerable bullets, and then no bomber or bomber. So lots of options. Nice, U.S. Games. Gotta have the variants. So there we go. You got the PAL version or the version in North America, which is we're going to play right now. It's Commando Raid by Henry C. Will IV and Wes Traeger, published by U.S. Games at sometime the beginning of October 1982. All right, so I'm just going to go right into it. Interesting. Reset didn't do anything. Okay, there we go. It took a little bit of time, and finally we got in. So I'm on automatic mode. Oh, this is awesome. I also have curvable bullets that I can fire. Love it. Background reminds me of we're playing an Activision game. Oh yeah, this is a lot of fun. So this style of game is known as Sabotage or Paratrooper. and we've already seen these games on home computers. This one marks the 4th game we've ever played that's like this, or plays like this. And this is the very first time you could play this on a home console. Kind of like when we played Artillery Duel. We played lots of artillery on home computers, but it was more rare on a home console. And this one is playing just as you'd expect for this style of game. Just like Paratrooper or Sabotage. I want to see how they burrow down. Yeah, the execution's done really well. Controls very good. And I like the different game options. I'm only playing on one of the options. Curved bullets and then automatic fire, but you can change it to manual fire. There's one thing they're missing, though. When we play Paratrooper or Sabotage, they try to make it where you have to score your shots well. If you don't, then you lose points. In this one, I can just fire away, and I'm not losing a score. But when we played it on home computers, you couldn't just continue to fire over and over again. You really had to make sure your shots hit because you're wasting points every time your shot hits. Oh, look at that. The tunnels are building down. That's a nice touch, because when we played this on the home computer, usually the paratroopers would come down and they'd run at your gun emplacement. It's awesome. Uh-oh, it's getting close. Where'd they go? Is that the end? Oh, here we go. So we're progressively getting harder and harder difficulties where the paratroopers are changing colors. Uh-oh, there we go. They're starting to blow. Oh, they got us. So I still call this a fixed shooter. You're in one spot firing. You just don't get to move left and right and fire, but it doesn't have the same kind of control like a missile command style game. That's pretty fun, though. All right, so Commando Raid's all right. For all the games you could play right now on a home console, and for the very first time you could play a Sabotage or Paratrooper variant, that's fun. I'd actually start around average. Of all the games right now, 3 stars for Commando Raid. And since this is the first time you could play this on a home console, I could go 3.5, above average maybe. I'm looking over in the chat. We're seeing lots of 4 stars, which means an excellent game you could play right now on your home console. This is a one-player only game, and you have to take turns. I see some 3.5 stars too. I'm actually going to say 3.5. It's an above average title for all the games right now on a home console. For the Atari, man oh man, that easily could be 4 stars. It's not the only console out there. There's a lot of consoles you could be playing. Alright, it's time to put the video game playing on pause. Next time on Chronologically Gaming, we have more games for the Atari VCS, and we might have something new from a Magic and a brand new platform. Something new. That's it for today, and like I always say, all the best video games and platforms never die, thanks to the homebrew scene. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are perpetually retro, and we will catch you next time.